So welcome to this video series in person this time, ahead of Creative Operations Los Angeles 2022. The event is taking place at the Loews Hollywood Hotel on October 25th. I'm delighted to say I'm joined in person by our event chair, Kevin Brucato. He's the head of Martech at Jefferies. Kevin, thank you very much for joining me.
Happy to be here, Tom.
I'll get straight into it with the questions. What do you think are some of the key issues facing creative operations at the moment?
I can tell you one that's top of mind for me, Tom. So I'd say about a little over a month ago, I ended up getting COVID, and it forced me to be quarantined in my home office for probably about 8 days. And luckily I have a couch in there, so I was able to take naps. But the important thing that came to light to me was that the importance of being able to work remotely and how far we've come as an industry. And I could give you an example of this. Pre-COVID days, like if you look at video, you would have to go out with these huge crews, large cameras, generate large files that became very cumbersome to manipulate and edit. Today, there are tools on the market and software that, given the right talent, you can actually remotely control devices like a tablet or a phone and control the aperture and the lighting and brightness and all that fun stuff, and edit everything in the cloud and produce pretty high quality videos. So, as we start thinking about the hybrid environment, it's here, it's not going anywhere. And I think it's really something that folks working in creative ops should really give thought to in terms of how can they enable their creative folks to do the best work that they can, given the circumstances of a remote environment.
You obviously mentioned having to work from home and things like that, and the sort of change in the sort of workplace. Sort of going off script a little bit, but do you think that the event that's taking place, it's the first West Coast Creative Operations event we've had since 2019?
Yes.
Do you think that this event you're coming back to is slightly different in terms of key topics and issues in that case?
Yeah, I think there is going to be a pivot or a focus really on modernized technology, the tech stack, a lot of enablement to address remote work and empowering our creative teams to fuel them with the tools that they need. So for sure, yeah.
You're obviously chairing the event. Thank you for joining us once again.
Yes.
What can we expect from you?
A symphony. I'll tell you why a symphony, and I'm glad you mentioned that I'm chairing the event because, my title is chair, and last time I checked, I don't have a board of trustees to oversee, and I don't have an organization that I run. So the title is a little bit misleading. I like to use the analogy that I am a orchestrator, which I think fits a little better, or, the conductor that maybe leads a band. And I'll tell you why. We've got an incredible lineup of talent coming in from all parts of the world, right? So we've got a keynote speaker, we've got presenters, we've got panelists. My job is to ensure that all these folks actually perform as a symphony. And I'll give you a little bit more detail on why I say that. So the speakers in the keynote, my job is to make sure that they can focus on delivering the best presentation that they can. With speakers, for instance, some people don't like the way you introduce them or how you introduce them. So I make sure they're comfortable. I make sure that they have the tools and they're able to present. And, some people with Q&A, they stress about it. So what I'll do is I'll actually moderate the Q&A for them so they can focus on their presentation. Another example is panel discussions. To be honest, panel discussions by design are boring, right? So as an orchestrator, my job is really to energize the audience, interact with them, get them engaged. And at the same time, being an introvert myself, I know what it's like to sit in this large conference room and have to fight to get your voice heard, or even try to get the microphone to ask a question. So we leverage tools like Slido that actually folks can dial in on their mobile device, and they can ask their questions that can get voted up and voted down. And vendors, if you think about vendors, we love our vendors and all they do for us, but it's a fine line between, them becoming a little bit too salesy. So, my job as an orchestrator is really to balance that and keep things as agnostic as possible so we could focus on the technology at hand. So if all things work well, we have a symphony. If they don't, it doesn't sound so great, and it just gives me something to focus on for the next event.
So we've obviously spoken about your role as the conductor. Is there anything that you're looking forward to about this event specifically?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the in-person interaction, to be honest with you. And don't get me wrong, the Festival of Creative Operations, which I hope you registered for, is September 27th. If not, I can help you with that. It's fabulous because, its purpose is it pulls people in globally across different time zones. You don't have to worry about logistics. No planes, trains, and automobiles to get in the way. But it really doesn't hold a candle to actually being at a live event, the energy that goes into it the morning of, right before I deliver the opening remarks, the room, the assembly of it. And to be honest, just even having a conversation over a cup of coffee with somebody just in the breakout sessions, and just, making new connections, meeting old connections. We were fortunate enough in the spring to do this in person as well. So I'm really looking forward to doing the same in LA.
How did you find the New York event?
The New York event was fabulous. It was almost like we didn't miss a beat. I think it was 2 or 3 years we were out, but we were back stronger than ever, at great attendance, great conversation, great presenters. So it was a good event.
So hopefully we can bring that energy to Los Angeles. Obviously taking place at the Loews Hollywood Hotel, Hollywood synonymous with the film industry.
Yes.
And I like to end these videos on a sort of light-hearted note.
Awesome.
So I would like a film recommendation and a reason for that film recommendation. What's your favorite film, Kevin?
So instead of a single film, I'm going to pick a series or a saga, and I'm going to go with the Marvel cinematic universe. And I'll tell you why. Marvel does a fantastic job of creating their one-off movies and the franchise and all the different characters and plots. But you factor in Disney Plus, and just tying this back to creative ops and content, Disney Plus does an incredible job of serving up the content. So you can go in and you could pick a single movie, or you could do their timelines. So you can say, hey, I want to watch the entire saga from beginning to end when they were released in the movie theater. Or, which I did and I recommend, is actually doing what they call the theatrical historical timeline, which actually is when they occurred in history. So you've got the older movies intertwined with the newer ones, but a continuous flow of the actual plot from the beginning to end. That, and just watching how the technology has evolved over the years, which, if you look at the special effects over the span of it, it's just incredible what they're able to do today. So highly recommend it. It's fun for the whole family. My 2 boys, 8 and 11, enjoy it, and my wife as well. So that's a plus there as well.
Am I allowed to say that our Avengers will be assembling on October 25th?
Yes, you can.
I can indeed.
Awesome.
So come and join Kevin at Creative Operations Los Angeles 2022. Thank you very much, Kevin, for joining me on this video.
Thank you, Tom.
And book your place at the event at the Loews Hollywood Hotel. We look forward to seeing you then.